Do you want to ramp your way to victory? Well, you're in luck, so we're going to cover just that in a series I like to call Game-Winning Jank. So without further ado, how you sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Welcome back, folks, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for dropping by and your ongoing support. My name is Patrick, host of the EDH Brutality YouTube page, in which I upload Magic the Gathering content and analysis every Sunday. But before we jump right into today's video, a quick and special thanks to patrons like you for making videos like this possible. Last week we covered some key questions in my first ever Q&A video, and I had a rather great time doing so. But today we are back on topic, covering 3 janky ways you can catapult yourself in your next EDH match. As always, the combos listed within today's video are in no particular order, and of course the level of jank here is subject to the eyes of the beholder. But with that out of the way, let's jump into today's first jank synergy, coming in with a Basalt Monolith. For 3 generic mana, this artifact spell reads, Basalt Monolith doesn't untap during your untap step. Tap to add 3 generic mana to your mana pool, or pay 3 generic mana at instant speed to untap Basalt Monolith. So what we want to do with this is rather simple. We are going to want to tap for 3 colorless mana, and then dump the said mana back into the Basalt Monolith to untap it. This ultimately will lead to infinite tapping and untapping of the Basalt Monolith with no payoff.
Are you retarded?
But who are we kidding? There's always a payoff in the series of game-winning jank. So let's pair this Basalt Monolith with a Mesmeric Orb. Mesmeric Orb is a 2 generic mana artifact spell that states, whenever a permanent becomes untapped, that permanent's controller mills a card. So together, this will generate infinite self-mill. And although this is a very dangerous play, we can also use it to ramp our way to victory. That's right, with a splendid Reclamation we can do so, coming at just 3 generic and 1 green mana. This sorcery speed spell reads, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So just picture this, you mill yourself as much as you want, and for just 4 mana, when you have enough lands in your graveyard, they can all come back to the battlefield. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a deal to me. It's dangerous, but it's good. Coming up in the number 2 spot, we have quite possibly the easiest combo to pull off within today's video. Starting with a Scouting Trek, coming in at 1 colors and 1 green mana, this sorcery speed spell reads, search your library for any number of basic land cards, reveal them and set them aside. Shuffle your library, then put those cards on top of it in any order. So obviously we're going to want to tutor up every single land within our deck, so long as it's basic. And once we do, we can capitalize on this with a Primal Surge. Coming in at 8 generic and 2 green mana, this sorcery speed spell states, exile the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you do, repeat this process. And of course, this is a lot of mana, but the payoff is huge. Not only are we going to be able to put into play every single basic land within our deck, but those lands will also enter untapped. Better yet, just fill your deck with either of these 2 cards and make sure the rest of the 98 cards are only permanents. As a matter of fact, if you do that, you'll just end up playing your entire deck. So if you want to make big plays, you better be prepared for some big mana. But if you really, and I mean really want big, then I'll show you
Oh gosh, I'm getting canceled.
Anyways, we have Cultivator Colossus coming in at 4 generic and 3 green mana. This creature plant beast reads, trample. Cultivator Colossus's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When Cultivator Colossus enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. So here's what we do. We pair it with an Abundance, which is a 2 generic and 2 green mana enchantment spell that reads, if you draw a card, you may instead choose land or non-land and reveal cards from the top of your library and to reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put that card into your hand and put all other cards revealed this way on the bottom of your library in any order, which is a fantastic replacement effect for the Cultivator Colossus, because these 2 cards alone will allow us to put every single land card from our deck onto the battlefield. And if this wasn't enough to win already with Advantage alone, we can incorporate all of the gate cards within this deck and have the Cultivator Colossus and Abundance help fetch us a the Maze's End. This is a land that reads, Maze's End enters the battlefield tapped. Tap Maze's End to add 1 generic mana to your mana pool. Pay 3 generic mana and tap Maze's End to return Maze's End to its owner's hand. Search your library for a gate card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. Now, we can obviously fail to find a gate for this trigger to still work, and thanks to the Cultivator Colossus and Abundance putting every single land within our deck onto the battlefield, it practically erots Maze's End's text to simply pay 3 generic mana and tap to win the game, which is an absolute powerhouse of a combo. Because let's be honest, even if we don't get the win with Maze's End, well, we still have a shit ton of lands. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's episode of Game Winning Jank. I do hope you really enjoyed, as well as found some new and interesting ways to close out your next match at Friday Night Magic. With that being said, as always, if you want to stay tuned for future videos here on the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And with that being said, my name is Patrick, host of EDH Brutality. I thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.